Hello! This game's Nioh! The game opens with an explanation of the plot device that is Amrita, and a tutorial stage in which you have access to nothing meaningful. I haven't even explained the run, and it's dead. So while I escape my confinement, I'd like to clarify the rules by which this run will live and die. This section of the game doesn't let you retain anything that you have. Nothing that happens here has any bearing on anything except the story. As such, I'm allowing the use of these hands and feet to punch and kick my way through the Tower of London to get to the first boss. Once the game properly begins, I'll only be allowed to use ninjutsu to deal damage. To clarify, I mean ninjutsu, not consumable items that behave the same as they do. If it's not directly from the jutsu list, it doesn't count. Now, someone or something hurting itself or others is just that. I'm not the one doing it, and, That's a lot less in the way of rules than I'm used to seeing up on the board. But I'll take it. Sorry, William. I'm gonna need you to hurry along. I couldn't really stall much for you. The main antagonist of the game is sort of just here. Wait, his name is Kelly? Kelly? That's one of the worst names I've ever heard used for a big bad. I'm supposed to take that seriously? That's like casually introducing the Lord of all evil, the Harbinger of war, the End Time incarnate! Tim! He's casually chatting about starting a war in Japan to gather Amrita to, I guess, take over the world. Good to know that the story I'm about to experience is well thought out, with deep and relatable motivations. I bashed my way to the first boss of the game, a man named Derek. Wait, Derek? Yeah, nothing inspires fear quite like Derek. Honestly, he was so non-threatening that I beat him on my first try. I knew I would see you here, Reginald.
Let me show you what these stones can do.
They can stab a man! Wait, I can do that with a stick. How does that make the stone special? Oh, mutated demon thing. Got it. Oh, he hits like a truck now. Great! I spent a while getting new armor and whatnot to make things easier, but in the end, it just came down to getting good. And also exploiting his incredibly large windows where he sort of just sits still. I honestly don't know why I struggled for so long here, except for the obvious fact that I'm not good at these sorts of games. Or any games. Or most things, really. William just sort of creates a sword from nothing, then does this weird thing with a spirit to create another weapon from nothing. The spirit is stolen, and this goofy gray guy teleports away. William tries to escape, gets cold feet, and then some ballistic encouragement applied directly to his shoulder. It's revealed that he's basically immortal, but like, in the Dark Souls sense. Even though it sort of works in the Sekiro sense here, and he swims to his ship that he has now. How the hell did he get not one, but multiple ships and sail for 2 years? That is a hell of a budget that he took with him from prison. It's okay though, the story should be a lot easier to follow from here on, right? Right? I chose to specialize in dexterity and skill because they're the only stats that are going to affect ninjutsu for a long while. And we can finally begin the game. Tutorial. There's another tutorial. It's not even on different mechanics, it's primarily on things like attacking, dodging, and so on. Fine, whatever. Upon getting to Japan, I immediately throw all of the currency I find into dexterity. It's going to be the lifeblood of this run, and if I don't invest now, I'm not going to get far. By leveling dexterity, you get ninja skill points. You can spend those points in the ninja skill tree. Shocker, I know. I use those points to unlock my first attack, Iga-style Kyakudama. And because I probably butchered that, I'm going to be throwing some firebombs. Finally, the run can begin. No! It looks like my bombs might be a little waterlogged though, because they're, not doing a lot. Every time I pray at a shrine, I get back all of my ninjutsu uses, and all of the enemies respawn. With that in mind, I farmed for Amrita until I had enough to increase my dexterity, which gave me ninja skill points, which I spent on Kun-ai. I wouldn't know it until later, but these little utility knives were going to be the best weapons I would ever get my hands on. Right now, though, I have so few uses of any of my weapons that I was still constantly going back to the shrine to restock, and while I can deal some damage, running past enemies is far more effective, and I would absolutely run out of ammo before ever getting anywhere otherwise. Historically speaking, shuriken were primarily used as a distraction, and that is definitely well reflected by their lackluster damage. This game has a good number of strange systems and methods of relaying information. Before I started this run, I thought dexterity increased your jutsu capacity, and it does. What I didn't know is it means the amount of jutsu you can prepare. It has nothing to do with the number of uses you get. And if you're confused by that explanation, welcome to the club. Basically, this is all the ammo I'm allowed to have per rest, and it's going to stay that way until I can get further into the game to unlock more. As such, I spent a while trying to get through places like this. I wasn't sure which way to go, and to be honest, I'm still not entirely. I'm not good at navigating at the best of times, but I need to do it while also running from every possible threat. The game is mission-based, and it ends in this ship. If I'm ever going to meaningfully improve my build, I need to get through here, which means getting through this big ugly yokai. I dropped the lantern I'm carrying in a ship that's apparently held together with only pitch because it goes up quick. Or I guess the fire was more of a suggestion because the room looks relatively fine. Well, no time like the present. Now, again, this game is a bit strange in its mechanics. One of many systems in play causes enemies to take more damage if it's dealt from behind, so I made sure all of my attacks were in this dude's backside. Even still, though, I just don't have enough ammo to beat him. In the bottom left is my skill points, and I have loads to spend, but nothing to spend them on. I can only unlock more by going through this galoot, so I spent even more time farming. Like, a lot of time. In addition to capacity, dexterity also increases your ninjutsu damage by more than any other stat, so I pumped every level I could into it. I started even carrying around a bow that gave me a minor damage buff to my jutsu. Basically a glorified ornament, but a welcome addition. And it still wasn't good enough. Send me back to the shrine, buddy. I got more farming to do. After several hours, I was getting closer. I got some equipment that gave a low chance to not consume ammo when I use it. I didn't have enough firebombs to inflict burning, so when it procced giving me just one more, I knew that was all that I needed. I was about 9 hours into the game at this point, and I wasn't going to waste this opportunity. I played slowly, carefully, did my best to get every shot clean into his back, and as the first real boss of the run went down, it was finally time for things to begin. A shinobi greets me, takes off his mask, and gives me his name. Well, that's my immersion ruined. What the... Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna pretend that I understand what just happened. I guess I've been recruited, though. I'm not sure what to or why. I suppose I'm helping a local noble in a power vacuum to control the country or something? I don't know anything about him or his policies. Why am I helping? I understand that William wants to get his spirit back, but there are a lot of people caught in between an ongoing war, and you're helping the first side that said they would help you, with no regard to anyone else. You'll let me unlock more ninjutsu if I complete your mission in the dojo. Never mind, I'm sold. Wait, there's another tutorial section in the dojo? Why are there 4 tutorials on the same thing? What do I have to do to earn those jutsu uses? Menu tutorial. Okay, tolerable. How to prepare jutsu tutorial. I'm sure that would be helpful to anyone else. Can we get to the good part? 2 guys versus 7 throwing stars. Easy. Now, gimme! I went and bought a lot of new skills, meaning I can throw more things. And I can throw some things faster, which is so nice. On so many levels. And then a talking cat. Possessed by a talking cat spirit? Well, I'm not sure what the devs are on when they wrote or animated this, but here we are, I guess. I'm trying to save some guy because yokai, which are apparently born of things like hate, whereas the guardian spirits we have by our side are born out of faith in them. Which explains why mine sucks, because the only faith that I have in it is that its buffs will do absolutely nothing for this run. I tried using some of my new jutsu to mixed results. I have a giant bomb that does an absolute ton of damage, but it comes out really slowly, and often just misses. I got various status-based shuriken, which are alright. I think the fire ones are probably my favorite, because they explode and can inflict a high amount of burn damage. They're slow to activate, though, and don't have much stopping power, whereas a lot of things are just immune to poison. I also got my hands on some gravity. I haven't quite figured out how to use that one yet. There are a lot of bats in this mission that act as traps. They don't do much damage, but they're freaking obnoxious. I even managed to find my way through a series of tunnels and pathways to find the next boss, who I guess is a humanoid yokai that flies and feeds on people. Worse though, she has 2 statuses that I can't really do much against. One of her attacks inflicts paralysis, and if it hits me, I'm dead. No ifs, ands, or buts. Her opening attack inflicts a status called freezing the game entirely. Seriously, every single time she performs her first attack, the frame rate dropped to literally nothing. The sound was fine, but nothing else would respond. After the fact, everything ran fine. Something about the initial swing, though, just tanked the game's performance. I died a good handful of times trying, mostly due to me rushing the fight, but once I slowed down, it turned out I had plenty of ammo to bring her down. Really, not so bad in the grand scheme of things. I'm brought to a bunch of guys sitting around drinking.
I don't have time for this.
That's what I'm saying! Ah! I'm met with a woman who sort of just shows up and then leaves. Some guy gives me a new name that everyone will now be using for me instead of William, I guess. I'm off to battle. Some royal dummy apparently went missing when he went off to fight monsters. What dingus just uproots themselves to go swing a pointy stick at some creatures? The game makes it at least relatively clear that William is considered remarkably good at combating these things. If most people can't handle even the weakest of these things, why is a noble risking their lives in such a fashion? Also, my main weapons of choice are small jagged throwing implements that are all most famous for not being lethal. Why am I the only one actually getting anything done around here? I was able to use my ammo in a surgical fashion, picking off targets that would make exploration just a bit easier. But death was still pretty frequent because I often tanked hits rather than let go of my limited supply. And despite having a healing item in my shortcut menu, I almost never healed during this playthrough. I die in a couple of hits now, and that issue never really got fixed. Which is entirely my fault, but I can at least pretend to blame the game for it. Also, why does the game choose to tell me bits and pieces about the world and events of the game through subtitles at the bottom of the screen in a Souls-like? I can't read that without dying! There's probably an option to change the spoken language that I missed somewhere, but it's too late now. Really though, I hate when action games have reading in the action. I'm kinda busy with other things, game. Anyways, I got to fight a discount Zinogre. All of its attacks are close range, so I can distance myself and throw things really easily. Okay, almost all of its attacks. It moves really slowly, so basically I just needed to move away from it and start running around when it starts chaining lightning attacks. And while I didn't get it on my first try, or my second, I'm once again chalking that up to me rushing and bringing the beastie down. Easy peasy, every muscle in my body is seasy. I got some casual racism, apologized to get through a door so I could get into some underground area containing traps and more yokai than you can shake a stick at. Go ahead and try it. You won't. Now, I'm not good at navigating at the best of times, but I got really lost here. Like, I went here, I went there, I went everywhere. I saw this person standing here and couldn't get the door open, so I went back. I searched wherever I could for direction, and my biggest problem with this game is that the maps all look the same. Not the same as each other, mind you. They look very unique, but one part of the map looks the same as any other given part of the map. And I got lost in almost every single one of them. Sometimes several times over. Anyone who's played this game knows what I didn't, and after spending entirely too long looking for how to open the door, I decided to actually try talking to the woman standing directly in front of my objective. It turns out, that's the entire solution, and I'm immediately allowed to proceed. Ah! She sort of helps with combat, and we find the noble injured. She accuses him of being an imposter, and he of course is. She goes off to help her husband, and will absolutely not be involved in the ensuing boss fight. Ah, Jimbo! I've finally tracked you down. He fights like a player NPC, which I'm sure makes a lot of sense to people who haven't played this or another Souls-like. Basically, he behaves more closely to a player, more intelligently. He'll block and dodge things. He'll typically close distance in a safer way, and is generally harder to deal with. The AI is still bad, though. But it's at least better. I ended up wasting enough uses of my ninjutsu that I couldn't finish the fight. It got to looking like I would need more damage, so I farmed out some Mamurita and came back with just a tad more dexterity and more experience under my belt. The best way to handle the AI is just to get some distance and throw more slowly. I would throw one, and then wait a few seconds before throwing something again. They'll usually put their guard up after the first hit, so by letting them drop it, yeah, not so bad really. That's nice, Glenn, but I didn't ask. You are being very rude, and I'm going to stand here and do nothing until you get what you came here for and teleport away. He escaped? How could this have happened? Well, if you want me to wield that, then I've got some bad news for you. We set sail to a new location after running everyone's errands and find the cutest little sea monster that absolutely nearly murdered everyone on my ship. But just look at it, it's so cute! And just like that, it is 100% a boss fight. We had this little interaction on the stairs, and this was probably at least near the point in the game where I no longer had any bearing on what was going on in the story. A lot of it I only really picked up rewatching the footage, and even still, I'm not tracking who's who very well. Like, I guess I'm here to clear out someone's mind to earn their favor. It's full of poison mist and yokai because, of course it is. Ain't that gonna be fun to play around? Answer, no. No, it wasn't. Once again, I have no idea where I'm going, and now I'm slowly dying due to my lack of directional skills. You can kill the things responsible for the mist, and they don't respawn, which is a godsend. On the other hand, the devs added what are basically flaming bone wheels. And yes, I know they're based on Japanese mythos, and no, that doesn't make them any more okay from a design perspective. These things are obnoxious, no matter how cool the cultural inspirations that went into making this game are. And they really are. I eventually got to this mission's boss, and it's a biggin. It's also really fast. I don't like it. I mean, I really don't like it. You can kill most of the individual segments that make up its body, which I'm sure is cool if you don't have limited ammo, but I do. It felt random how much damage I would be able to do before running out. Also, I still had poison to contend with, so taking this fight slowly wasn't really an option. Once its body separates, the area fills with gas, and I'm on a clock. You can technically use objects around the arena to stop this from occurring, but I also had next to nothing in terms of down periods to fight this thing. Hardly any ammo too. It was rough. No, like, really rough. Did you know there are random invisible walls in this arena? Because I got to learn that the hard way. Attacks would seemingly, at random, just not connect with it. It wasn't perfectly consistent, but some of my attacks would essentially just vanish, dealing no damage, and leaving me physically unable to be the boss. My best bet was to open the fight with the biggest bomb I have, because when they land correctly, they do a lot of damage, and can even kill some of the segments. You can land it by running behind it in a circle around this pillar until it stops, and waiting just a moment for it to turn around, but sometimes it pretty much just misses. Or gets blocked by the air? I guess the air was too thick to explode through. Huh? I see you've got Kevlar air here. My bad. We use a nitrogen base where I'm from. Didn't know you like to line your air with 13-inch steel plating. No, it's my fault. I'll just have to get better at breathing. I see you've got a hell of a technique there. What the fuck? Almost. Come on. What? Why? Why are you in the ground? What are you locking onto? There's nothing there. Ah! No. No, 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 no! I refuse! You look me in the eye when I tell you absolutely not! We're done here! Stay dead! God, what the hell is wrong with this fight in particular? And no, the irony isn't lost on me that this fight is buggy. Puns are hilarious and my life is a joke! Next up, with no real improvements to my build, I'm being asked to tackle the yokai that they said I couldn't defeat. My primary objective was to ice some beacons around the area, and in a shocking twist, I fell to my death multiple times in the process. I know, hard to believe from a person of my talent. You'd think I would die way before I even got the chance to fall. With a beacon lit, I tried to take on... Look at the big cutie! Sorry, big fella, I'm gonna have to kill you. But I want you to know, I adore you. He spawns in helpers, which is kind of very obnoxious, and I fell to my death. Another surprising turn of events for a person of my skill. To say that this went amazingly, well, would be an understatement. This boss had absolutely no chance of losing. It went really well for the Umi-bozu, as it repeatedly thrashed me. I ended up caving in and lighting the other beacons. I got shot to death in the process, which might seem unbelievable for how good beacons stop it from spawning in any of its helpers, so it was just a one-on-one fight. I, struggled to figure it out for a bit. I could dodge its single tentacle swings easily. It was the double swings that always got me. Otherwise, barring dumb mistakes that I'm prone to making, I could avoid most of its attacks. Also, it can one-shot me. Like, double my health one-shot me. So that's neat. There was definitely a learning period. I eventually realized that the big yellow spot is its weak point. I can't target specific spots, but it is vulnerable when it does most of its attacks, letting me deal more damage. And I'm gonna need to hit it with pretty much every item I throw out, or I'm not gonna have enough to kill it. It also takes a lot more damage from fire, which is great. What's not great is that it removes the fire damage over time debuff it gets whenever it repositions, which is just wasted damage, so I would theoretically need to save it for phase 2 to make the most of it. I also learned that the double tentacle slam attack isn't an attack at all. Quite the opposite. It's a supportive giant. Adorable lug of a monster. It's offering a hug. It wants you to know that it's just making sure that you're ready to take on the outside world. It wants you to feel safe. And when Umi-bozu asks for a hug, you give it a hug. I farmed a lot. Even found a weapon for my melee slot that gives a small damage buff to my ninjutsu. And got it in phase 2. I threw enough bombs to get it burning and just waited for it to go out. Had to squeeze out every ounce of damage that I could. And after a lot of time spent on it, the terror of the deep... Hold on a second. The terror of the deep finally went down to the depths. It was somewhere shortly after this, I believe, that I discovered shinobi boxes, which can be used to restore uses of your ninjutsu, and I used exactly none of them the entire playthrough. Why, you may ask? That's an excellent question, dear viewer, and you see, the thing about that is... By this point, I had no idea what was going on in the story, so some people were sitting around in a room throwing names I didn't know around, and this cleared up absolutely nothing. But then who should arrive but Darlene, with the goofiest faces they could model. What is that smile? Should I be concerned that he's going to take over the world, or that he just let out a really nasty fart and he's waiting for everyone else in the room to notice? This is not a face that invokes fear. I'm finally far enough, though, to be allowed to test for my next set of ninjutsu scrolls. Not much in the way of new things, but more uses would be lovely. I spent a while trying to figure this out. It really shouldn't have taken long at all. I ended up banking pretty purely on my unlimited ninjutsu proccing. The name isn't quite right, but I just needed more uses of the poison shuriken. Well, turns out he never blocks the first 3 if you throw them all immediately before moving. Then you just need to space out the rest enough that he doesn't block them, but near enough that you're able to get the second poison proc. 2 is more than enough, and it's the smarter way to go about things. But I brute forced it. I guess I've been gathering allies? I finally get to meet the guy I've been killing and bleeding for myself, or I would if it wasn't a body double. And I apparently somehow still haven't earned their trust. I guess. So I have to go help with some random yokai killing, because that's all I'm good for. Between the last 2 missions, I went and did some farming. I finally got a better set of armor, and even a new spirit. This one gives me 15% unlimited ninjutsu, which is huge. I now have about a 25% chance to not consume uses of my stuff. So things stretch a lot farther. Also, spider! Spider in the game! There is a spider in the game! There are a multitude of spiders in the game! And I hate it! Yeah. Ugh. I don't like spiders in-game. I don't like spiders out-of-game. I don't like the way this mission made my skin crawl. I don't like that the spiders can land on you from the ceiling and kill you in an animation that I refuse to show because this whole place is a friggin' nightmare. And of course the boss here would be a spider. Why not? No, ew, don't touch me. No. So it one-shots me. Okay, no hit the boss. I have no problem with fighting this thing without it touching me. Thanks. It's gross. It's so gross. I met the multiplayer guy that lets you join clans. I didn't right away, but I ended up joining the clan that gives a buff to firebomb damage. No idea what it's called, which sure shows my loyalty to the clan-based cause. Also, there's a place that's freezing over nearby. If it kills spiders, I'm all for it. Apparently they're sending me and only me to sort it out, though. What is everyone else involved in this war up to? Come on, guys. Do war things. I guess it probably has to do with this ice lady. As you can see, I was really close to beating her on my first try. My next attempt went even better. If I keep that progress up, I might be able to beat her before Nioh 3 comes out. Embarrassingly, it ended up being my 5th try to beat her. The strategy was just stay back. Don't get hit. She's really not even hard, I'm just awful. She doesn't have nearly enough health for me to worry about ammo. She does have fast enough ranged attacks that firebombs are a bit dangerous to use, but that's kind of all I can say about her. Once I got enough distance, my damage output is plenty good enough to just go nuts with Kun-ai. Ah, flaming butterflies. Phase 2! Or just sadness. That's fine too, I guess. I met a guy who wants to guide me to a place. He's surrounded by what look like demons. He then eases my worries by reading my thoughts and speaking through my mind to tell me that he doesn't trust me enough to tell me what's going on. I'm pretty sure the non-existent faith in him that I would have prior to that would be absolutely gone the moment he revealed his mind-reading shenanigans. But maybe I'm just paranoid. I guess I'm just traveling now. I'll get back to my spirit eventually. Not even sure why that spirit specifically. The one I have is amazing for my build. Either way, I managed to catch up to Eugene Fitzherbert. And you're not getting away this time. To stop you, I have the aid of 2 incredibly powerful mages and a questionably trained shinobi. Why? Why would you tell him that? Why would you tell him that? Regardless, we're gonna stop you by carefully watching you and doing absolutely nothing to prevent... Oh, I was sure that would work this time. Also, the spirit from earlier has enough time to announce what it's doing and do it because death was coming toward the group slowly enough that they just let it happen. That should have stopped it for sure! Doing nothing usually works, why is it not now? Regardless, my opponent possesses the power of shoving me into a corner where I can't move. Truly a powerful technique. Man, does that whole work on Looney Tunes logic? It's not a hard fight though, by any means. Harder than most so far. I spent most of it distancing myself from the cat because it closes distance really well. But some dodges out of its... Do these count as combos? Give me enough time to get throws in, finishing this up pretty fast. Really, I'm happy with how much damage the build was doing now. The 2 of them seal the spirits into the Amrita from the cat. Not sure why they couldn't have done that before. The rules here seem odd. And then the spirit dies? Oh no. I might have cared about him if I could have actually read his dialogue while traversing the environments. We won't have any problems crossing through Iga, you say? You lied to me! Why is this place so weird? Yeah, ninja home, I get it. Come on, come on. No, don't. Fine. Climb, you bastard! You lied to me! This place is full of traps, ambushes, and all manner of rubbish. It had me checking around every corner because something was bound to screw me over. This place single-handedly filled me with more dread than any other location in the game, and it carried over into every mission after. Ah! Knife-proof bushes, I see. Also bomb-proof. What? There's a kind of cool sequence here where the whole place you're navigating through looks inverted. Nice way to mess with people, but are those real or fake corpses attached to the ceiling? Or did somebody drug William and this is all in his head? You lying bastard! You said no problems, and what do mine eyes spy before me but some goddamned problems with 8 legs? Yeah, the spiders are a recurring thing. I'm not happy. The ninja are too. They love to jump out and ruin your day in the later levels. I suppose life is all about perspective though. I hate the shinobi, but I loathe the spiders. I eventually made it to the boss, a giant toad. See, says so right there. He's not the best at closing distance, but he's not terrible at it. He has a lot of ranged attacks, too. His downfall? Tons and tons of downtime between attacks. He has multiple animations where he does basically nothing. Or at least nothing if you're far away. So if you know what to look for, you can basically just see a kick me sign written on him. See? It says it right there. I can't take a hit to save my life, but I've got damage in spades now. Get it? Because one of the primary uses for a Kun-ai is as a spade. He's revealed to be this guy's dad, which is a thing. Dude's not even dead, just likes to fight for fun. Don't you think I've got better things to do than to entertain an old man by way of combat? I spent some time farming gear from him because I was struggling to do some side content and felt the need for an upgrade. This meant beating him in his last challenge repeatedly. Not hard, just very time consuming. I needed to beat his next challenge for more uses. It gives you worse jutsu to work with and a harder Hanzo. If you start by throwing a bomb, you get a surprise damage bonus. You also get a damage bonus for hitting him from behind and for doing so while he's paralyzed. Combine all of these things with some unlimited ninjutsu procs, and I was able to just eke out a victory, earning my final scroll. Yes, I know there's another one, and no, I didn't get it. So, just to be clear, it's okay with you that I repeatedly beat you up, stole your clothes, and then wore them while beating you up again, yeah? We good? Yeah, we're good. I encountered a boss who I guess is responsible for plants dying and people starving as a result. It doesn't really have much of any bearing on the story. Honestly, I didn't even remember this existed until rewatching the footage. That's kind of all I have to say about it. I really hope the video can speak for itself for the rest of it here. I finally got to meet the guy I'm working for. He claims to be fighting and killing for a world with no war. William is asked what drives him.
I'd never thought about that.
Are you serious? You've traveled from England to Japan over the course of 2 years, then halfway across Japan throwing random crap from your pockets at anyone who's looked at you wrong, and you've never thought about that. What the hell is wrong with you? Oh no, it's Susan! And he's really creepy. Not in an intimidating sort of way, more like he should be on a certain registry sort of way. To get in and unmind control the people here, I need to go through what I think is basically the sewer system. It gives you a debuff that I'm pretty sure is just stink. My guess is that it makes it so you can't consume healing items like Volvodon or Kongolala, if you're familiar with the Monster Hunter series. If you're not, then I've got some homework for you. I get to a boss that's just a normal dude that got grape soda in his eyes. Poor guy must be in pain. He's not difficult at all. I nearly knocked him out before realizing that I should maybe try taking a more gentle approach. While he was swinging wildly in a fit of rage, I smashed the soda fountains, which eased his mind enough to calm down. He grit his teeth through the pain, knowing that they at least wouldn't cause any harm to anyone else. I then found the Shinobi lady, and you would never guess what she got in her eyes. Can't find any fountains, though, so I guess I'll have to knock some sense into her. Random bullshit! Go! Yeah, that's a boss fight, I guess. Keith, you're here! Still. Why? Oh, God, don't make that face. He takes her hostage, and the guy I'm serving is sexist. And she... How the hell did that angle happen? These three powerful men have him cornered, and... Damn! I thought for sure it would work this time! Why is staring at him not bringing immediate victory? It just doesn't make any sense! So, some bosses don't really do much of anything to dodge or block. Well, most don't, but some have really low poise and can be temporarily stunned with thrown weapons. Like so. I don't really know what the devs were thinking with this design. I just find it funny that she's not even the only one this badly balanced. After hearing about a whole lot of war, it's now on the doorstep. Like, people are actually doing things. Not while I'm present, of course, because gameplay, but there's conflict. Really visually crunchy conflict. I don't know why some of the cutscenes look like this. I'm here to rescue someone. I just need to get past... Yeah, so I want to make it very clear that I never actually got good at this game. Not even close. My build is more or less the poster child for Glass Cannon. I kill things quickly and then die when the wind blows a little too hard in my direction. After getting horribly lost, I found this guy who's basically a circle. All edge and no point. Also, he can fly, but gets knocked out of the air pretty regularly. I didn't beat many bosses on my first try with them, but I clipped his wings, and in the 34 seconds this fight took, seriously, I timed it, some dudes with guns apparently made their way in. Gotta hate when you have a decisive victory that the game just then hands to your opponents because lore. At least make them a hard fight if you lose regardless. I then find the old man that didn't like me before, and he decides to die fighting in the currently burning and collapsing building rather than escape to assist with the ongoing war effort. There's a difference between bravery and stupidity, and dude, you're just throwing your life away. On that note, bye! See you never! And despite everything burning, we're chalking that up as a victory? Thanks to his sacrifice! What? Okay, for real this time. War time. Like, there are actually troops here on the map doing battle. It's really cool to see actual people in the world. It makes things feel more populated, and I appreciate it. What I don't appreciate is that everything looks the same! If there's a Getting Lost championship, then I am going for gold. It's a good thing this ain't a can you beat Nioh without getting lost run, because no, I can't. Where am I going? Where was I? What's that? Who are you? How did I get here? It's all fog! It's all just fog! Why am I being attacked by an inkling? Why does it dash so much? It has ranged attacks? Sit down and think about what you did. Whatever that was. Alright, another boss fight. Gotta be careful, he has no poise. Dude, I'm sorry. You took 17 seconds, of which it was mostly just me mashing left on the D-pad. What are you even doing? Why would I even want your head? Am I gonna put it in a weak dude museum? Does it look like I use spears? This dude has Dave here sacrifice 300 of his men to summon a spooky, scary skeleton, and it looks pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. This thing is allegedly a world-ending threat, and looks really nifty, but like, there is no way that is cannon-proof. Come on, guys. I bravely leapt down to fight it myself, and its hitboxes are kinda rubbish. What hit me here? And it's not particularly easy to survive some of its attacks. It also has some helpers, which I found to be irritating. My grand strategy ended up essentially just being to start the fight by knocking it over and aiming for the chest. It takes massive damage to the chest, and I have a lot of storm kunai to throw. Basically just 3 weaker kunai at once at closer range. That altogether make for more than enough to bring down the beastie. What's next? More fog! That aside, this guy is transformed into a demon by Bobby. And welcome to my personal nightmare. He has ranged attacks, he's fast, and he can kill me really quickly. I died to him so many times. I couldn't really survive against him for long, so I figured I could, adapt to the situation. If he's too quick, slow him down with caltrops. As far as I can tell, he's immune to slow and paralysis. Poison shuriken would be one of the only ways I could really apply poison, and they don't do nearly enough to make it stick. Can't knock him over with ground fire, basically just landmines. To cut it long story short, he's either immune or might as well be to almost everything I can throw at him. I worked at it for a while trying to come up with something, and my mind wandered to an item that I never thought to try before or after this. I can just not die with one of my jutsu. It protects you from 1 death per use, and the fact that I didn't try it sooner is itself mind-boggling, but it really was all I needed. Start the fight by hitting him with 2 of my biggest attacks, and then just survive a little bit longer to hit him for all that he's got left. Really, shouldn't have been that hard. Turns out he thought his master died, but he's actually alive and working alongside me, and so he was doing the whole war thing on the opposite side, loyally but misguided. I don't know, man. I'm just the person they call when they want a lot of random objects thrown. Approaching the end now, my damage was starting to fall off. My main hope was that I could cross the finish line before there was nothing left in this build. Luckily, cheese was still a viable option. The AI in this game, I tell you what. I'm still going after my spear all of these hours later, and this boss only starts fighting at around half health. Funny how that works. Super easy, though. Seriously, man, you can't be this far into the game and still be unsure. He does finally come to some kind of conclusion. You have to see him make up your mind, I guess, but why can't your face stay inside your mask? The visuals here are actually pretty cool. And you're sure it's not weird that I'm wearing your clothes? I just want to be sure, because I'm having trouble even telling us apart here. He's told this little nugget, which will be important later. And who runs like that? These 2 help to get through the area until they duck out before any boss fights. And I do mean fights. Plural. The game reuses some bosses I found earlier, which is always sad to see. Easy first try. First try. Ow. Ow. Second try. Ow. Ow. Ugh, gross. Why would you bring this back? Kill it! Kill it with fire! The most feared overlord in all of Japan has been resurrected to fight me, and he's... Oh no. No, seriously. The dude's a pushover. Who apparently thrashed me. What the hell, cutscene? He didn't even get to attack. Literally, not a single swipe aimed at me. He then says nah and decides to leave. I guess. Well, now that he is out of the picture, it's time for me to finally do battle with my nemesis. The man of 1,000 faces. The head of the war effort, and the most powerful mage in the country. Bring it on, Jebediah. You can't be serious. You can't be serious, that's it? He has no real defense against spamming mildly sharp objects. This whole time, I could have slaughtered the bastard and just didn't. He then summons a giant snake thing because William keeps attempting to defeat him by not moving, and seriously, this thing is taking massive amounts of damage from my most basic attacks. You're witnessing my first time ever seeing this boss, so take it in, I guess. It was incredibly easy. I didn't even have a strategy beyond trying to kill it before it could do anything, which mostly worked, too. I'm in awe of how weak this was. The kicker, though, is more or less the answer to the run. When the last head falls, to trigger the end cutscene, you have to hit it with a melee weapon. It won't even take unarmed attacks. So, despite everything, technically, no. You can't beat Nioh with only ninjutsu. Even discounting the tutorial, because I'm not counting the tutorial. I feel pretty confident in saying, though, that this is about as close as one can get to a ninjutsu-only run. Shame that they would ruin so many potential runs by locking it behind this little animation trigger. But, yeah, I killed it. The guy who can teleport anywhere decided to just die rather than flee. One of my closest companions was, I guess, going to murder me for not being a native, and William just kind of leaves. If the plan was to kill him to prevent people knowing you worked with a foreigner, then what was this about? Just a loyal douche? Oh, right, William also decides to go after the guy who's actually behind all of this. He was harder than the last 3 bosses, but honestly, he felt more like an afterthought. It still went down really easily. Pointy splody things are strong. William cut some of his many eyes, but let him live, fully knowing that they can magically resurrect people and probably fix eyes. Yeah, I have no idea with this story. He then, I guess, heads back to Japan to help with goings-on. Overall, it's a weird little game, but a surprisingly good one. I don't know if I can necessarily recommend it, but for what it's worth, I enjoyed my time with it at least. I could see myself doing another playthrough. On that note, though, I hope you enjoyed your time here. You probably know how to use social media, and I hope that means I'll get to hear your thoughts now and on any future outings. Until then, remember to stay safe, spread some kindness in the world, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.